Dear students, it is our first history class for standard 10 ICSE syllabus. Today we can take the first lesson from history part. We already took 2 lessons from civics last March, and now it's time to start our history portion. History first lesson is the First War of Indian Independence 1857. In this lesson we can study about the various causes for the First War of Indian Independence, then course of the war and results of the war. Results or consequences of the First War of Indian Independence. Do you heard about this incident, First War of Indian Independence? No. I think you studied it in your 8th standard. The First War of Independence is also known as the Revolt of 1857. The Britishers nicknamed this revolt as the Sepoy Mutiny because they considered this revolt as a mere revolt among the sepoys. But Indian historians considered this as the first war of Indian independence. Earlier, there happened so many revolutions or revolts against the British. The Britishers came here through Bengal, and the Battle of Plassey was the first revolt happened against the British. And this Battle of Plassey was happened in between Bengal Nawab and the British. But this Battle of Plassey had only local character. That means it happened only in Bengal. And after that Battle of Plassey, there happened so many revolutions or revolts, but all these revolts had only local character. They were scattered and isolated. And this was the importance of this First War of Independence. That means the First War of Independence was the first revolt against the British unitedly. The Indians fought against the British unitedly in this First War of Indian Independence. That means not the whole part of India, most of the northern India participated in it. And in this revolt, so many princely states participated. Princely states like Jhansi, Satara, Nagpur, etc., etc. That is why this war or this revolt was known as the First War of Indian Independence. When the Britishers came here, we know that India was divided into so many princely states, and there was no unity among these princely states. And they revolted against each other. There was no unity. Because of this disunity, the Britishers could easily annex these princely states. That was the major reason for the success of the Britishers in the early times. There happened so many revolts. Now we can come to the point, causes of the First War of Independence. The causes for the First War of Indian Independence was divided into political causes, socio-religious causes, economic causes, military causes, and finally immediate cause. There were so many reasons for this revolt, but there was an immediate cause for this revolt. Then Now we can discuss about the political causes of the revolt. The political causes of the revolt of 1857 was also subdivided into 8 parts. Subdivided into 4 parts. First one was policy of expansion. And there were, the Britishers adopted so many policies. Mainly there were 4 policies. By adopting these 4 policies, the Britishers annexed some territories in India. By outright wars, by subsidiary alliance, by using the doctrine of lapse, and on the pretext of alleged misrule. By using these 4 policies, the Britishers conquered or annexed so many territories to British India. We already discussed that by the Battle of Plassey, Britishers annexed Bengal. Bengal became under the control of that war. That is why that Battle of Plassey was known as the foundation stone for the British Empire in India. And the next battle was Battle of Buxar. Battle of Plassey was happened in the year 1757 and Battle of Buxar was happened in the year 1764. By these 2 wars, the Britishers annexed Bengal. It was the first victory over Indians by the British. That was the first point. By outright wars, the Britishers annexed so many territories. And there gives some more examples to these kinds of wars. Battle of Plassey, first one. Then Battle of Buxar, 1764. Then Anglo-Mysore Wars from 1767 to 1799. Then Anglo-Maratha War, 1817 to 1818. All these wars. And one more example is there, that is Second Anglo-Sikh War. And all these wars helped the British to annex so many territories to British India. They colonized or they annexed Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, Punjab, Sindh, Assam, etc. This was the outright wars. This was the first policy adopted by the British. That means by various wars or revolts they annexed so many territories. Then second one was the subsidiary alliance. It was a policy introduced by the British. Do you know the person who introduced this policy? That was Lord Wellesley. Lord Wellesley introduced the subsidiary alliance. And what was this subsidiary alliance? This subsidiary alliance introduced in some states, some princely states of India, and when a princely state signed in the subsidiary alliance, had to keep a British army in their own territory, and they had to spend all the expenses of this army. They had to spend money for the food and quarters of this army. That was subsidiary alliance. Through this subsidiary alliance, Britishers could easily control some territories. They didn't completely annex these territories, but the real control became in the hands of the British. That was subsidiary alliance. And the next one was doctrine of lapse. What do you mean by this policy, doctrine of lapse? Who introduced this policy? The doctrine of lapse was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. I will show you the pictures of these two personalities, Lord Wellesley and Lord Dalhousie. Lord Dalhousie introduced the doctrine of lapse and Lord Wellesley introduced the subsidiary alliance. Because of these two policies, the Britishers could annex so many territories. Now we can discuss about the doctrine of lapse. If a princely state signed in the doctrine of lapse, if the ruler of that country had no natural heir, after his death, his country naturally became under the British control. That means if the ruler had any adopted son or daughter, that son or daughter had no control over the princely state. He had no power over the princely state. Definitely, naturally, that princely state became part of the British Empire. So, the Britishers could easily annex so many territories due to this doctrine of lapse. Some examples are given here. Jhansi, Jaipur, Nagpur, Sambalpur, Udaipur. These were the territories controlled by the British due to the doctrine of lapse. Then the last policy was on the pretext of alleged misrule. Britishers annexed some other territories on the pretext of misrule. That means if the British announced that the territories were not ruled by the princes or the rulers completely by their own power, if there happened any misrule, definitely that territory become part of the British Empire. Lord Canning announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah, that region became under the control of the British, because the Britishers announced that there were no rulers after this Bahadur Shah suffer. Under this alleged misrule, so many territories became part of the British Empire. Example, Awadh. Awadh, it was a territory. The Britishers believed that this Awadh was ruled by an inefficient ruler. Because of his inefficiency, Britishers annexed that territory to their control. These were the policies of expansions adopted by the British. And the second political cause was disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah. Who was Bahadur Shah? Bahadur Shah was the last Mughal emperor. I think you already studied about Mughal rulers. But we already considered that the last prominent Mughal ruler was Aurangzeb. But after Aurangzeb, there were so many inefficient rulers. The Britishers came in India during Jahangir's period. And after Aurangzeb's period, the Britishers became more powerful and they annexed most of the territories of Mughal Empire. And so many other territories became independent. So many princely governors were there. All these governors became independent. And during this period, during 1857 period, Mughal Empire became very small, and that existed only in Delhi and in surrounding regions. And this Bahadur Shah was the ruler or emperor of Mughals during this period. And the Britishers were not ready to give any respect to this person. Indians considered this emperor as their own emperor, but the Britishers were not ready to give any importance to this person. In 1856, Lord Canning announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah, his successors would not be allowed to use the imperial titles with their names and would be known as mere princes. Bahadur Shah, he was the last emperor. Canning declared that his successors would not accept the title of emperor, and these rulers became considered as only princes. This hurted a lot. So the people revolted against the Britishers. Then the third point was, or the third political cause was, the treatment given to Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. Nana Sahib, he was an adopted son of Bajirao II, the last Peshwa. And this Nana Sahib was an adopted son. Because of that reason, due to the doctrine of lapse, the Britishers were not ready to accept his suzerainty. And the British refused to grant Nana Sahib the pension they were paying to Bajirao II. The Britishers were given a pension to Bajirao II, and the Britishers were not ready to give this pension to Nana Sahib, the adopted son of Bajirao II. Because of this reason, Nana Sahib wanted to revolt against the British with the help of his subject. The next one, the revolt started by Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi. She became the victim of the doctrine of lapse, became a bitter enemy of the British as her adopted son was not accepted as heir to the throne. This Jhansi Rani had no natural heir and she had an adopted son. The Britishers were not ready to accept this adopted son as the next ruler, because Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai already signed in the doctrine of lapse. Because of that reason, the Britishers did not accept her adopted son. Due to that reason, Rani Lakshmi Bai wanted to revolt against the British. This was the third cause for the revolt of 1857. Then the last reason was absentee sovereignty of the British. And before that, we can see the pictures of Rani Lakshmi Bai and Nana Sahib. Here gives the pictures of Rani Lakshmi Bai and Nana Sahib. And the last one was, or the fourth reason or fourth cause for the revolt of 1857 was absentee sovereignty of the British. Absentee sovereignty means that India was being ruled by the British government from England at a distance of thousands of miles. We know that in India there were only some representatives of the British, and most of these British officers were inefficient. The real British Empire was far away from India. Because of the absence of this sovereign power in India, the Indians were not ready to accept their suzerainty or supremacy. Okay, then the Britishers ruled over India far away from our country. That means Britain or England was at a distance of thousands of miles. Then absentee sovereignty of the British rule was resented by the Indians. So, earlier rulers like the Mughals who had conquered India had in course of time settled in India. The revenue they collected from the Indians were spent only in India. Britishers were not ready to spend the amount collected from India to spend in India only. They collected money from India through various prospects or through various policies, and they spent this money in their own country, that is in England. They were not ready to spend that money in India. Because of this reason, India became in a poor condition. This was known as the drain of wealth. So, this was another cause for the revolt of 1857. So, today we discussed about the political causes of the revolt of 1857, and there were 4 political causes. First one, by outright wars, that means the policy of expansion. Second one, disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah. Third one, treatment given to Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. Fourth one, absentee sovereignty of the British. Okay, it's time to wind up the class. We can wind up today's class. In the next class, we can take the remaining causes for the revolt of 1857. Okay, thank you.